I welcome all of you to this webinar organized by Dynamic CIO, Google Cloud, and Team Computers. I'm your host for the day. My name is Muqbil Ahmed, Executive Editor, Dynamic CIO, and Greyhead Media. Friends, we have a very interesting lineup of activities for today and a string of knowledgeable and insightful speakers in our midst. But first of all, I wish and hope that all of you are safe and secure in the precincts of your homes. These are indeed trying times, with businesses facing unprecedented pressure due to the lockdown. Enterprises are finding it difficult to function, and therefore I can safely say that there could not have been a better time for this webinar, because the topic for today is boosting employee productivity by leveraging the right collaboration tools. With most of today's employees working remotely, companies are struggling to maintain timelines and productivity. They need 24/7 data availability, cost savings, and scalable service to manage employees and meet customer expectations. Businesses need quick response to feedback, cost optimization, and anywhere, anytime mobility. In fact, in this situation, modern technology can help boost employee productivity. So friends, in this webinar, we will all learn how to improve collaboration and teamwork, what are the various ways to enhance business productivity and continuity, and how you can ensure anywhere, anytime mobility for the workforce. We will discuss several aspects of this extremely relevant and pertinent subject at this webinar with several of today's technology leaders. So let me first of all introduce our esteemed speakers for the day. I would like to welcome Sarbani Bhatia, Senior Vice President, IT, Jagran; Shiju Rotter, Executive Vice President, India Infoline; Tom Thomas, Executive Director, SIAT Limited; Pranav Jariwala, Workplace Transformation Specialist, Growth and Expansion at Google; and last but not the least, Mr. Jatin Sahni, Director, Team Digital Engineering, Team Computers. So friends, before we dive into the panel discussion, I would like to invite Pranav to make a presentation. I would also request all of you to keep sending your questions and queries to us. We shall take them up at the end of the event in the question and answer session. Over to you, Pranav.
Thank you very much, Mukbil. Just allow me a minute to quickly bring up my screen. I hope everyone can see my screen. First and foremost, a very, very warm welcome to everyone on this forum, through the panelists as well as through, the extended audience which has joined us on streaming. It's absolutely a pleasure to kind of connect with all of you. I hope everyone's staying safe and sound in this current times. As Mukbil rightly said, I think it's all the more imperative for us to kind of, get together as a group and discuss and kind of understand how employee productivity is all the more important in these times to ensure that remote working can be enabled for all the business organizations, right? So quickly jumping into it, so change is not new to this world, right? I mean, I think over the last even 10 years, if you look at it, I mean, change has always been something which has been accelerating, and that's something that businesses have to adapt to, right? Just look at the changing markets. So S&P 500 customers or 500 organizations which were there 10 years back. Today, 50% of them not even there. They've all turned over, right? There are absolutely new names which have been there. If you look at purely from a technology standpoint, just purely the number of devices that are getting connected, it's just kind of spiraling. It's now close to 20 billion connected things that we are seeing, and this is not just around devices, which is PCs, but we're talking about healthcare systems, we're talking about wearables, we're talking about automobiles, we're talking about even industrial manufacturing equipments, which are today getting connected to technology. And the last piece which is there is about changing customer needs. So today, all of us as customers in our individual capacity, already, use the web or use kind of, the power of search to kind of take a decision, even before we are actually walking into a retail outlet or walking into that car showroom to buy a car. And in a study says it's as high as 80% of the customers. So what really differentiates is not really the product, it's the experience. It's the experience of the customer to understand how the technology is, how the company is, and how the brand is, right? And hence customer experience has become all the more critical. As part of that, to enhance or to, I would say, elaborate further on this, employee productivity plays a very, very important role. If you enable your employees to quickly get a product out to the market in the shortest possible time, or you are able to address a specific customer experience issue by enabling your employees with very, very collaborative tools, that's really what digital transformation in an organization is. And today, legacy tools are actually holding back businesses. If you really see, this is all about individual productivity, right? Individual productivity is basically about an individual working on his machine, which could be a laptop or a desktop, but using the tools only meant for individual productivity. The need of the hour is more around collaboration. The need of the hour is more around how you can have more people work together at the same time and deliver an outcome which actually impacts the customer experience, be it a support issue or be it a sales experience, right? And that is what is the need of the hour. What we have seen from organizations who have adopted G Suite, and this is again being based on a specific survey of certain users, which we actually kind of bifurcated among G Suite and other competing platforms. We have seen that 68% of the G Suite users, at companies more than 1,000 users, they start enjoying work a lot more after adopting G Suite compared to the rest of them, right? If you look at the second benchmark or the parameter, 76% of the G Suite users in the same bracket feel that they are contributing something to innovation within their company, right? They believe that they are doing something which is transformational for the company. The third aspect which is there is around just having a very, very positive impact to just how they're working, right? Which is just around the work culture. To end of the day, happy employees means happy kind of culture, which essentially means that the company actually benefits from it, right? So that's the impact that we have seen from customers who have adopted G Suite across their organizations. And this is not just what Google is saying, this is also what our customers say. So one of our largest worldwide customers, Airbus, has fundamentally said that it was not just about replacing a traditional legacy platform. It was just fundamentally adopting a disruptive platform, which is very different, which is challenging the status quo. And that is what Airbus really achieved after moving to G Suite. Moving forward, so what's G Suite, right? G Suite is not just about your email replacement. G Suite is a platform built for scale, is a platform built for enterprises, and most importantly, G Suite is a platform which is built for productivity and collaboration, right? And we actually have three buckets within this, which is purely for communication, for collaboration, and for control, right? So when we talk about communication, we talk about all the tools which are available, not just Gmail, which is the familiar email interface which all of us are used to on our consumer side, but also other tools like, for example, Meet, Google Meet, which we are using currently to connect with each other, right, on this kind of a forum, or using additional capabilities and technologies which are meant for enterprises to kind of communicate a lot better, right? Similarly, from a collaboration standpoint, so when people create content, when I'm saying content, this could be files, which could be in docs format, sheets formats, or slides format, but how do you collaborate this within no time among teams, and how people can work together at the same time? That is what is basically what we call as collaboration, right? So we're not looking at the old way of creating files and then creating versions of files and then saving it and then sending it back again. We are actually saying that one file, one version, that's it. That's how users need to work on, right? And the last piece which is there is, while all these capabilities are available, it's important that enterprise continue to have the control on what users are accessing and what users are creating from a data standpoint, which can be secured. And this is where we have all the controls in place, right from archival, right from DLP, right from security and identity capability, which a lot of customers today have adopted. The pace of innovation, because G Suite is a 100% cloud solution, has been phenomenal. And these are just some numbers. So we're talking about today for G Suite, we have more than 2 billion plus monthly active apps users. We're talking about more than 90 million plus students who are using the G Suite for education license. And we're talking about more than 5 million plus businesses who are using G Suite, right? And these are organizations. I mean, if you look at users, they are for quite a lot, right? That's been the momentum for G Suite in the last, I would say, 18 to 24 months. And some of that momentum has been right here within our Indian subcontinent itself. I mean, some of the esteemed panel judges, some of them have already adopted G Suite, and I'm sure they would vouch for it. Today, the momentum which we have seen, especially in India, has been phenomenal. A lot of enterprise customers across financial services, manufacturing, traditional healthcare, all of them have adopted G Suite in a big way. Apart from, of course, the digital natives, which has always been a strong point, right? So what the slide essentially says is all the traditionally, I would say, disruptive companies like the likes of Spotify, Lyft, Salesforce, Netflix, all of them are on G Suite, which has been our strong point. But however, even traditional large global enterprises like Colgate Palmolive, Airbus, Verizon, Nielsen, or Roche Pharma, they have also moved to G Suite. So it's not just about digital natives, it's about actually a lot of other customers also in different verticals who are more traditionally kind of, enterprise oriented, have also moved to G Suite as well. So looking at G Suite, how is it really imagining the business, right? How is it imagining how businesses are working, right? It's primarily within the three areas or three tracks. Number one is making it fast. So talking about making it fast is, and I think this is something which I'm sure each one of us would have looked at it or experienced it, or again on our consumer side. Simple things like using AI, artificial intelligence, in the back end to allow users to, kind of just help them kind of, start drafting their emails a lot faster. Now, how is this really happening? This is all happening because in the back end, there is a Google AI service which is running, which is intelligent enough to start preempting and recommending certain suggestions to its users, because that's helping the user to save some time to send an email. Now, imagine that at scale across a company which has 10,000 users, and we are really talking about real productive time saved, right? So that's number one. The other piece which is there is around how teams could actually work in parallel to move faster than ever before. So imagine rather than working on multiple versions, imagine that one single version and 10 people who are contributing to a project are able to work on it in real time. That's kind of making it fast for employees to kind of deliver on that outcome. The second piece, which is there, sorry, just before that. So what we have seen is, again, this is again from a survey that we recently did from an organization who had a mix of G Suite and Office 365. But we've seen that 54% of G Suite users were able to edit documents on the go, which is basically on your mobile phone, because the mobile applications are equally designed to be more user friendly. They are not applications which are, I would say, not ready for mobile application. They are actually built for mobile first, right? And even our customers are vouching for this. So if you look at an example of a large retail giant like Gant, right? Initially, Gant for opening a store in London would take close to around a year. Today, they are taking close to around 3 months. That's the real productivity savings which is there. Now, how that is happening? So if you see on the right-hand side, the GIF, basically it's all about how a project management document where everything is getting tracked from a store opening standpoint, it gets real-time updated by multiple teams. This could be finance, this could be marketing, this could be the revenue and forecasting team, right? But clearly our customers are seeing that simple tools like docs and sheets and slides are able to kind of really deliver results much more quicker. Going ahead to the second track, which is on making it smart. So it's not just about making it fast, it's also about making it smart as well. I think everyone today on the consumer side or on our personal side are familiar with the power of Google search, right? All of us use it. Imagine the power of search getting right into your enterprise as well, right? So how people can quickly, extract files, content and knowledge that they need, how quickly they can discover information. That is what we mean by making it smart, right? So that's the number one point. The number two point is it's also around kind of enabling these capabilities through artificial intelligence to ensure that users, when they are searching for information, the most relevant information is posted right up there. So this could be a particular document that you were working just 2 hours back, but because the system knows that that's a recent open document, can I kind of recommend it for as a result number one when someone is searching for something? So these are the capabilities which are there from an AI standpoint. Taking it a further step ahead, it's also around security. So can we use AI to also prevent threats? Because there are a lot of these security tools that we use in the backend, which power our entire email security fabric. And that is all powered by Google AI as well, to ensure that the threats are proactively kind of mitigated and the risks are controlled. That's what we do with making it smart. And again, just talking about some outcomes from the survey results that we had. 78% of the users agreed that it was much more easier to find information since they started using G Suite, right? Because imagine the G Suite is powered by the Google search in the backend. So it's so much more easier to search for information. And this is not just around email. This is about searching across the G Suite ecosystem, which could be through Drive, Gmail, chat, and files as well. One more step, and this is again, one of our largest enterprise customers, which is Colgate-Palmolive. They use the power of spreadsheets or sheets, which is Google Sheets, right? Now, within Sheets, what we have enabled is a feature called as Explore. What Explore essentially does is it starts giving you or starts recommending you for questions or recommending you for results, which will help you in decision making. So typically what will happen is when you actually are working on, say, a spreadsheet which has 1,000 rows and columns, you might want to kind of do some churning on the data and probably pull out some pivot tables or probably just format the data, right? Or even extract a Gantt graph out of it. Can you kind of use the power of Explorer to kind of do that? And that's what Explorer does. It's automatically kind of starts giving you recommendations for pivot tables, for charts, which you can actually extract and probably then export it to a slide deck, which you can present to your management. Finally, making it together, right? So our first piece on making it together is around conversation as a platform, right? Which is basically Google Chat. So Google Chat is our platform for collaboration and conversation, most importantly, wherein that is also backed by a lot of AI in the backend to start recommending you for certain responses that you can give in a chat conversation, which could be not just one-to-one, but this could be like a room. This could be like an IT room. This could be an HR room where you can actually post file, you can share information, updates, or even kind of build bots as well, which could be integrated with your backend systems for service desk or backend systems for ticketing or HR, right? Of course, making it together, a big part of that is also around co-authoring and collaboration, which is available natively within doc sheets and slides. And the last piece which is there is around interoperability. So while all of this is great within the G Suite ecosystem, we are completely open to interoperate with third-party ecosystems as well. So, So what I mean to say is this can actually work seamlessly with Microsoft Office formats. This can work with your CRM. This can work with the Salesforce CRM to kind of, even kind of integrate so that people don't need to kind of, shuttle between different application instances. And this is a real strong point, right? This is where we are seeing that 92% of the users, they believe that real-time collaboration is really become the standard for document creation. So this is no longer, where users create their own file versions and then people struggle to kind of, get this all collated. This is about just one version, and the one version remains the final version. So one of our other customers, Salesforce, right? I mean, again, a very, very large digitally customer experience focused organization, a SaaS company, just like Google. They are using G Suite, and they are really able to kind of, leverage the power of Google Meet in these times to not just do their quarterly all hands meeting, but also kind of, drive worldwide, drive collaboration across different locations worldwide. While all of these features and capabilities that I've spoken about, one important piece which is there is around security, right? So this platform is actually built for security. It's backed by the SLAs. We have today more than 85 million devices which are under device management, which is through G Suite itself. And all of this is actually kind of resulted in absolutely zero reported or detected account hijackings, right? So that's the power of security that we have kind of enabled in G Suite. As I mentioned earlier, it is seamlessly integrates with all other business applications. So you don't need to worry if you are running Microsoft Office files or you are integrating with SAP. G Suite today is open to kind of run with all other third-party ecosystem platforms as well. So with this, the last slide, and this is the most important one purely from a return on investment standpoint. We have seen that customers, when they have adopted G Suite, have realized close to around 1.5% of revenue increase purely because of G Suite. 21 work days saved per user per year purely because of the productivity savings, which I spoke to you about earlier. 95% risk reduction on data breach, and 20% reduction on on-demand tech support because it's so much self-service, right? So that's more from a business standpoint. So with this, I end my presentations. I'll be answering some of the questions which will be there in the panel discussion, and of course, handle some of the other questions in the Q&A. But back to you, Mukbir.
Thank you, Pranav. And we'll now immediately jump into the panel discussion. And I've already introduced the speakers, and many of them are known faces. And now we'll begin the panel discussion. I would request all the panelists to start their audio and video. So at the beginning, I would like to invite the speakers to give their opening remarks on the situation that is prevailing currently the importance of a collaboration strategy, and how they, as technology leaders, envisage the future in a post-COVID scenario. I would request all speakers to take not more than 2 minutes to do this. I would like to start with Shiju, Sarbani, and Tom, and in this order.
Hi everyone. Good afternoon. This is Shiju here. I know we all know this is very unprecedented times. We are going through it, and everyone is struggling through to overcome this situation as soon as possible. I'm sure every organization had made their way through to come out some or other way to adopt the digital collaboration channels, digital deliveries, and making sure that business is running as usual. Over the period of time, I think everyone was investing on some or other way in the technology to work remotely, but we never thought the situation will make us to sit at home and work all of a sudden over the night. But I think all the kudos to all the technology jams across the industries, they have managed well. I have not heard anyone or any industry which is not able to uh, deliver or which is not able to work remotely at this point of time. So everyone is doing that, but we have a roadmap now how to adopt more digital channels, collaboration tools, more on cloud, so that we can work anywhere, anytime, seamlessly, and beat these sort of situations.
Right. So Shiju is talking about a push for digitalization. Coming to you, Sarbani.
Yes,
Your
good
opening
afternoon,
remarks.
everyone. Good afternoon. The corona pandemic has not only been a health crisis of a huge order, it's completely disrupted the economic and social order, the way society and the economy used to conduct itself. For businesses, there has been renewed emphasis on your operating model, on expense management and cost control. And on the technology side, it has disrupted all the transformation exercises that were going on and put the best business continuity plans to test, and shifted the focus to cybersecurity, productivity, collaboration, etc. I think it has been the mission of every conscientious CIO to stay ahead of the curve from a technology and impact point of view as best as one could, and build resilience for IT and for the business. And while many companies are struggling how to survive this crisis, others are wondering how they would position themselves once the crisis is over. So, what is the next normal going to be? What will it be to thrive in the post COVID world that would emerge? Leaders are wondering how to navigate through this crisis because all the past metrics and methods have been rendered useless. So here I'd like to share. McKinsey's come up with this wonderful 5-point, call to navigate from crisis to the next normal. They call it resolve, resilience, return, reimagine, and reform. I think it's a wonderful way to look at it. And these 5 stages would, of course, vary from geography to geography and for industry verticals. But let's hope we tide over this crisis and emerge stronger and more resilient.
Tom, sir, your views.
Yeah, I hope everybody is safe and comfortable. COVID disaster has really shaken the whole world, and it has disturbed not only social life but business as well. It has thrown a lot of challenges, and thanks to the IT and software efforts that has gone through over the years, we are finding many ways to circumvent this and restart the business more productively. While IT companies were already geared to go for remote working, and now they have taken that, many of them have gone over to 100% remote working plans. The co-manufacturing companies were not even imagining that there can be a situation where you'll have to remotely work. This sudden shock has convinced a lot of people that at least 30 to 50% of the job can be done remotely. And that's a big step. That conviction otherwise would have taken for probably quite a few years otherwise. So that I see as a positive thing. Yes, you need to have the right infrastructure created, and that too fast, so that this is taken forward. And there are issues being faced. There are issues being on productivity, on efficiency, on the right way of working. I'm sure combinedly all of us together will find solutions like the G Suite, what is just presented, and many other. We should be able to tackle all that very quickly.
Right. Thank you, Tom, sir. So now I would like to bring in Sarbani into the discussions. Tom, sir, actually made a very good point about how manufacturing has really languished in these times, and how IT efforts at collaboration are bearing fruit in a lot of the enterprises. So, Sarbani, how do you visualize workforce transformation?
Well, this pandemic has really brought about a phenomenal effect on the individual, on the organization, on the society, and on the economy. The short-term effects have been that there's been a lot of uncertainty in every employee and organization regarding with the great fluctuation in demand from the customer, and therefore most organizations have kind of adapted their workforce to meet the COVID need. The long-term effects are going to be more fundamental, and organizations need to understand the macro effects of this and understand the implications on the workforce, because it's never been, employee experience and employee engagement has never assumed more importance than now, ever before. It's always been on the agenda of HR, but I feel now it is key for organizations to have the right skill at the right place, right time, to be able to cater to the shifting trends or the different operating models, or say the different demands in. So that's very important that they have the right skills in place. And secondly, the organizations need to lead workforce from the front with sympathy, empathy, and sensitivity and compassion, so that they are able to, reskill and develop workforce. They are able to provide the right kind of employee experience. Now, employees working remotely in the remote workplace, many of them I know are suffering from anxiety or uncertainty, and in some cases even extreme loneliness. So it's very important to keep the information going. Abundant information, regular briefing, if possible, town hall dialogues need to be done. Employees need to be enabled digitally rather than a tech overload. They need to be enabled digitally, and organizations that way can steer them through this crisis and also prepare them for the future, because the future trend for sure, the obvious trend is going to be remote working. We have seen in the last 2 months how effective remote working can be, which we had not realized earlier, perhaps in the traditional workplaces. And provided, of course, the organizational processes for coordination, communication, and collaboration are in place. So remote working will be a big thing. It's assumed, it is expected that by 2025, maybe 75% of the white-collar jobs will be working remotely. Who knows? Workers may opt for it. They may find it easy to not drive miles for their work and opt for this. So organizations must have that flexibility to accommodate such employees and provide the infrastructure and the processes to accommodate them. And
Correct.
I just wanted to add another bit, that this is the time to be using workforce analytics a lot because this is the time to have a clear idea of the size and skill set of your workforce so that you can adapt quickly. Plus, the emphasis should be on reskilling, upskilling, and employee set can be encouraged to develop and redeploy it depending on the shifting demand rather than recruit new people and fire the old ones. And another thing that I think should be taken into consideration would be the optimal mix of the workforce. Of the permanent to the contractual or the full-time, part-time. So see what works for you, because the idea at the end of it is we're all working in uncharted waters. So it's up to the leaders to take these decisive actions to uphold the organizational resilience at all costs. So some of the obvious trends that are going to be is that remote working, of course, we spoke about. The standard operating processes are also going to undergo a massive change. Business travel is going to be reduced dramatically. Then, face-to-face meetings will go, and operational methods would be reorganized to reduce human contact, and of course, the organizational hygiene, workplace hygiene, and employee fitness will be upheld. So these are major changes that are going to come about, and management is going to encourage the workforce to work together creatively towards common goals, uphold the values of the organization, which should be spelled out clearly, and provide comfort and work towards the common goals.
Right. So, Sarbani, good points.
I think in a sense this would be a major shift.
Right. So, Sarbani, very good points, leveraging analytics, and of course, the emphasis that you put on sympathy and empathy. You couldn't be more to the point than in this situation. This is what we need right now. So, bringing in, so sticking on to you, Sarbani, how are you able to provide the right collaboration and productivity tools to ensure productivity? And what are the kind of challenges that you are facing in this direction?
Well, even in the pre-COVID area, with the global collaborated well. So fortunately for us in our organization, we were already high on that collaboration aspect. But I know most organizations, and with this spike in this distributed workplace, suddenly there's a spate of people who are not meeting face to face, who are not walking down the halls. So the need for collaboration and keeping up the productivity has increased manifold. Right? So I think it's the duty of every organization to provide the right tool to enable this, because this is the to boosting productivity, because it will diminish your timelines, it will shorten your timelines and minimize delays and encourage group problem solving. Now, with so many technologies in place, I feel the major challenge is to find the right product for your organization, and the challenge is the one that is your business and does away with the removes the challenges that are being faced. It should not add a whole lot of work of the users. It should be so user friendly. It should streamline workflows and automate processes rather than create more work for the users. It should boost their performance. So finding the right mix with the right features, something which is cloud based, which has a mobility interface, which has a lot of group chat, etc. built in. So finding the right mix, which again fits into your budget, because this is, as you know, these troubled times, we're all operating out of stringent budgets. So find the right ROI, something that fits your budget, and the ongoing expenses for updates and maintenance. And external partners. I think finding the right mix, that collaboration tool, I think that is the biggest challenge. Once that is achieved, it really boosts your productivity, helps you stay in touch, monitor the activities of your team, etc. And very important in these days of remote working.
Right. So, very good point. Getting the mix right. Moving on to Shiju. So Shiju, are IT organizations able to empower employees to do their best from a distance with minimum disruption, as well as from a security point of view? Why I'm asking this question is because security, particularly in these times, and cybersecurity has really attained center stage these days because of the huge spike in cyber crimes and all of that. So, how do you see the entire jigsaw puzzle working?
I think one side everyone is human beings are trying to face with the invisible enemy. Second side, we also trying to fight with the known enemies also in terms of cyber security, cyber hackers and all. So we are seeing a lot of attacks. The attack rates, if you have seen over the last 2 months, have increased. The FIRs even, which is happening e-line through. So I was just referring to some of the cases in terms of the online cases which has happened over the last 4 weeks. It has grown up to around 10x now. So that means there are a lot of frauds are happening. There are a lot of attempts are happening. There are a lot of attacks are happening. But given this point of time, people who are working remotely, they are trying to safeguard also. We were never been ready to work in such a scenario. So for example, security operations center, which works for an organization, was never been planned to work in a disruptive way. They were always planned to work in a two different geographies. So today the situation is that global is locked down. Globally we are locked down. So we don't have a secondary office or secondary locations all together. So we have to work in a different way, different geographies. So organizations are getting held up. They are in some of the organizations are seeing bad hits also. In fact, we have seen one of the largest IT organization had a very bad hit. So though it had come in a picture, that's how people came to know. There are many organizations which are getting hit also, which are not being reported as well. But these are all learnings all put together, which makes us to enable, because this is a time when every employees of the organization is trying to log in from outside. It has never been that case. So BCP was always there in plans. It was on the table, but it has never been on actuals. Even though we had always worked upon working remotely for a couple of hours or couple of days, that too on a percentage concurrent basis. That could be 10% or 20% of all the organization population. But when we never thought that 100% organizations will be logging from outside. Now, along with that, different networks, different segment, different location, different geographies, different IPs comes and hits into the networks. Only one IP is required, which is malicious IP. We never know who is that. So it's a big challenge for the organizations. But somehow the every organization is overcoming with a lot of things. Plus, we need a scalable infrastructure also in order to monitor, because till this time we used to monitor everything at single premises. But when we want to monitor from outside, you need to have a different scalable solutions also. I think cloud is the one given perspective which I spoke earlier also should be looked upon in terms of enhancing, because there you can go scale up and scale down as per your requirements. Whenever you want to do more in search of Elasticsearch and all, you need to have some sort of Elastic search facilities too. So cloud is the ongoing solution, what I foresee. But yes, at this point of time, I could say I will not differ that hits are not coming. The hits are coming. In fact, a lot of regulatories are sending the informations to all the organizations, specifically the regulatory bodies, the organizations who are being bounded with the regulatory bodies. They are getting the certain also sending a lot of informations about the attacks and the patterns, what they are seeing from the threat vectors. I think it's a tough time for everyone from all perspective. We are in a very tough situations, but this is a temporary situation, I believe, because this is all the learnings what we have to take care of. We may have to rebuild our strategies for next jump, because this is a temporary pause. We should be positive at this point of time, because being positive is one of the biggest factor at this point of time to bring up more, because we have seen in the past also every fall down has bring a upward scale also. So obviously there will be a big huge scale which is going to come in next couple of weeks. We have to be ready. We have to build up our strategies. We have to build up our frameworks. We have to be ready with our all plans which can be executed over the couple of months now.
Right, Shiju, couldn't agree more with you. These are truly unprecedented times, as rightly pointed out by you, unimaginable, and enterprises are having to do with that. And but sticking on to the theme of security, here I would like to bring in Mr. Tom Thomas. So, Thomas, sir, any thoughts on the security angle of what is happening today? So, you are on mute.
Yeah, in the current environment, security is a huge concern. That's very rightly pointed out by Shaiju. Now, what we have done is we were planning to go with on cloud fully, and that work we started over a year and a half back. And all our application stack is moved on to cloud, and that enabled scaling up. And this all will be filtered through a VPN, information security software, so that the attacks are kind of blocked. That enabled even working remotely, multiple users, multiple equipment. We have been able to kind of prevent that cyber attack very effectively, I would say. So the best way to prevent this is go to cloud, encompass everything with a strong security software is one way to go about it.
Right.
Mukbil, I would also like to add, because organizations were never ready to work 100%, as I said earlier, also were never ready to work 100% from remote. So most of the operations which were meant to work remotely were sales or support functions, but specifically the data-oriented people who were supposed to work from office were always meant to work from office. So for challenge for moving them remotely was the organization had to open on ad hoc basis a lot of ports without doing any VAPT or without assessing security risks. That was one of the biggest challenges happened, because all of a sudden the lockdown has happened without any notice. So every organization had only one day, last working day, which they moved as much as possible and enabled. The technology guys has enabled seeing and accepting those risks, what could have overcome it. Also, the SN employees, most of them, we were never ready to work remotely for longer period. So the emotional factors becomes a lot. Whereas in other side of the world, which is a hacker community, they have always been working remotely. So they have always been working remotely, alone, silo. They've never been had those sort of challenges. Wherein over here, the organizations, employees has fear what will happen next, whether they will be moved out, or whether their jobs will be there. So those sort of emotional factors also hitting every employee. So I'm saying it may be fact or it may not be fact, but fear is fear. So that brings in a lot of work efficiencies also, in terms of lesser efficiency also from the employee perspective. So that is also becoming a very bigger challenge, because productivity is getting downgraded when we talk about when these thoughts comes within the employees. So these are also one of the biggest challenge which is happening at this situation.
Right. Security and apprehensions, of course, good points. And now switching gears and bringing Pranav into the discussion. So, Pranav, how important is it to empower employees in today's times?
Thanks, Mukbil. So it has become all the more important, and I think I completely second with the thoughts that Shiju, Tom, and Sarvani have shared. Just to give a context, I think most of you would have read about the recent news article where TCS took a very bold step of declaring that by 2025, 75% of the employee population will be actually working from home. Now, that's a very bold aspiration step, right? They are also saying that when we get back, when we adopt the new normal, adopting the new normal is not necessarily about adopting the old way of working. We would have to kind of move ahead. We would have to adopt the new way of working, and that is what is clearly kind of going to be the game changer. That's going to really differentiate the organizations in terms of how they will be able to kind of compete in this market. Collaboration becomes all the more important because when more people are working from home, now you do not have meeting rooms booked for people to get together and work on a project. You will need to have tools like these. You need to have tools where people can spend less time on aggregating things and more time on actually kind of being able to creatively contribute, right? So collaboration is absolutely the key, and I would say that I think most of the organizations would want to adopt to newer ways of kind of the collaboration rather than sticking to the existing tools.
Right. So in this regard and in this direction, how can Google Cloud help enterprises improve productivity and collaboration and all of that?
Yeah, so Google has always been kind of, as I said, first and foremost, it's always been a cloud-first organization. And, even our collaboration and productivity platform, which is G Suite, while it's 12 years old now, but, it's always been a cloud-only solution, right? It's just that now the context of adopting cloud-based solutions is really getting realized, right? Digital transformation, I think all of you would have got this message on WhatsApp about a particular kind of image where it says that digital transformation people spoke about 5 years from now, and suddenly COVID just comes in and just smashes into all the theories that people had about what is digital transformation. So Google has always been in the front. I think from a collaboration and productivity standpoint, because we manage everything at scale, so people are already used to using all the tools, all the kind of capabilities on the consumer side. So people are familiar with Gmail, people are familiar with Google Meet now that the consumer offering is also free. It's very, very easy to kind of adapt that on the enterprise side, but with the enterprise grade securities. And this is where we work with our partners like Team Computers and work very closely with customers to ensure that we drive change management and adoption on ensuring that employees can be more productive.
Right. Switching gears and bringing in Jatin into the discussions and the conversations that we have been having. So Jatin, what do you think? What is your view? How should organizations and CIOs, what should they do to overcome the challenges that they face in empowering their employees? So keeping in mind the challenges that have already been spoken about by the other technology leaders that we have in our midst, and from your side also, what do you think? What should they do? What is the way forward?
Thanks, Nikhil. So I've heard, thanks Shiju and Sabani ma'am and Satom about sharing their challenges that to keep the productivity high and boost the productivity of every employee of the organization. The CIO community has to play a big role over there because people are not detached from their normal office locations and they have moved across various locations and they're spread across their various, because they're operating from their homes and they're all spread across. As Shiju said, we have to be ready with what we are going to face in future. But CIO as a community, they have already embracing a lot of technologies and they have embraced a lot of technologies in past. That is why today, if you look at almost all organizations across all sectors, they are enabled today to work from home. And a big thanks to the CIO community where they have really, I think the vision that they have, so they have to be ready, future ready, which they have done it today. If I talk about my organization, I have not heard from any employee that I am not connected or I am not able to work. We've been hearing that the productivity has really gone up, almost from 25 to 30%. But I feel there is a time, there is the emotional spike of looking at the productivities are going up, but I feel it will come down. However, the CIOs have to be really look at the new challenges and they have to be ready about while working from home, how can they ensure that the productivity of the employees are boosted up. So we need to look at those various tools and technologies and bring collaboration into the place. So a lot of things that CIOs can do it around.
Right. So what is your opinion?
Yes. One of the things which I feel CIOs, see when we want to embrace new technologies and we want to encourage people to work from home and they've been connected. I think one of the things which is we have to make a cultural shift. It's not about just to use a technology, but also to ensure, because most of the organization has been working in more of a conventional way. Their timesheets have been recorded. There is in time and out time. There's a very orthodox way of operating models. I think it requires a lot of cultural shift inside the organization that one has to bring in, while they have to embrace the collaboration and enabling the people to work from home. But I think it's more of a cultural shift. Also look at what are the technologies which are already there, but they have not embraced in past, and quickly get on those technologies so that they can go get their employees connected to their workforce, and look at creating programs, work closely with the business teams. For example, in HR, how can we bring in some rewards and recognition systems? How can we make those employees connected? While we are at workforce, there is a physical touch which comes in. When I can see somebody, I can shake hands, and before starting a meeting, 1 minute before, 1 minute after, I can have a quick dialogue with somebody. But while we are over the Hangouts, we just on time. If 3 o'clock is the time, we just come on 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, we are gone, and there is no. It's one to many interactions. So I think it requires a lot of cultural shift, and also requires people to be recognized, and some kind of reward systems to be done so that people get motivated about it.
Right. Interesting points, Jatin. Of course, the physical meeting can never be totally replaced by a digital or virtual format. And
Yeah.
sticking on to you, the points that you spoke about. So, how do you think team computers can help organizations in actually achieving this boost in employee productivity?
So, good point, Mukul. So, as team, how we see ourselves as a bridge between the needs of the customer and the varieties of solutions available in the market, and we look at ourselves as a bridge. How can we identify right technologies and solutions in the market and address the needs of the customer? So we played that role very effectively, identifying various pain points which customer may have in the existing technologies, or they want to look at some new technologies to address a common need. We can look at what are the various technologies and solutions which are available in the market, and we can bring in those expertise and ensure that we are delivering the right solutions at the right time to the right people.
Correct. So, now, Jatin, I would request you to make your presentation.
Sure. So, as I said, team, we look at ourselves as a bridge from the world of solutions that are available, and map it with the needs of the customer. These are three areas where team typically operates, which is think, build, and operate. Overall, as an organization, we are pan-India operations around 1,200 crore as an organization with 3,000 people operating around, talking about software development, analytics, infrastructure, and all other related services. More than 1,000 customers we are serving across various segments, be it enterprise or mid-segment, government and PSUs, and small segments. So you name a location in the country, we are there. When we talk about think, is basically participating and also engaging with the customer, identifying which are the various areas where we can participate in, and defining the problem statements, so that the problems are there and the customer wants to make better decisions. So what are the various problems areas that we have? Looking at solutions with respect to AI, ML, and big data, talking about advanced analytics. We've been doing data visualizations for many years now. And also looking at the new age modern technologies and looking at digital platforms, IoT and smart factories, and automating a lot of processes. Today, if you look at the problems are there where we are too manuals in very repetitive tasks. How can we leverage the new age technologies with robotic process automations, and obviously looking at collaboration and office productivity speeds. So a plethora of technologies that we deal with and map it with the customer needs. So we play that think role very with our customers, and then look at the build part of it. When we say build it out in terms of building the entire infrastructure, what we call as digital plumbing, and build data centers, networking, security, storage around, and make sure the availability is always there. And that is what all CIOs focus upon. Whatever technologies and infrastructure we put in place, the availability is there. So building command centers, providing end user computing devices and mobilities and audiovisual, all kind of infrastructure needs of organizations. We are there for our customers. Partnered with all the major technologies that are available in the market, be it HP or IBM or anything else. When we talk about operate, is about how do we service the customers better and look at the digital IT operations through, we have our own command centers. So if we have to work through remote, we can manage the entire infrastructure remotely, or it has to be an on-prem infrastructure support management systems. We are all there. And looking at how can we effectively work to reduce the overall cost and provide better services through various upgrades, to providing manpower, and AMC services, management services, break-fix supports, and all of those things. One thing I want to focus upon is on the digital engineering. Most of the organization, if you look at the days have gone where people was talking about 10 years ago, 15 years ago, where we want to get into the ERP system, CRM, we want to create some kind of a portals where we can convert a paper-based system into a kind of a digital system where I can capture my data. So we were talking about those days. And then later came into how can we bring the process into some of the processes which we can automate, identify those niche processes and key processes which are those, and reduce our manual efforts. Days have gone and we have been moving around. Today, if you look at the stage of automating a lot of processes and setting up the ERP systems are all done. Where we are now moving is to how can we bring digital technologies in place and bring in operational efficiencies by going deeper into each and every processes that we have already automated, but identifying what are the areas where we can either look at the areas where we have leakages or there are some process gaps, and how can we fill those gaps by looking at further adding more technologies to it and bring more operational efficiencies. Now, once that is also done, or we are already there, we have to look at the entire system is placed. We have our base systems are placed. We have all our automated systems are in place. Now we can look at if I have to create new digital models. For example, I was providing my products over the emails, and I'm doing a lot of transactions over the email. But today, if I want to create, let's say, I want to create a product catalog, and I want to create an e-commerce platform where I want to ensure my customers are engaged digitally to me rather than over a phone call or over a service order. So all those things we can look at it, and it enabled because you have the base system in place. You can now bring further technologies on top of it, wherein the new offerings that we are providing to our customers, we are ready to provide those things and enhance our customer experience. So with the help of technology pillars, we can bring that. Process pillars, we have to look at what are the various processes that we can bring in. Do I need real-time information that has to be disseminated to the end users, or I need to provide some batch-based processes? Look at setting up, DevOps and data ops and security ops systems in place. And talking about cultural pillars, so that's very important when we're talking about transforming ourselves digitally. Change management and adoption becomes a key process over here, because we kind of set up the systems, we set up the process technologies in place, we set up all kind of tools that are there in the market for us. Everything is all placed, but are end users using it? Are they embracing it and really moving it forward with those tools and technologies? So how can we bring those change management and adoption in place? Once that is there, and it's a journey which will never going to stop. It's a journey that you start from, that you start in some day. So we want to engage, or we are actually engaging with our customer to be a digital partner and engage much closer to understand where are they in their digital journey and how can we participate closer to that and participate to bring it to the whatever the objectives the company has in terms of providing their digital transformation. We have our Xanadu, what we call where magic happens. We have experience centers. It's in Gurgaon, one in Bangalore. During this pandemic times, I know the movement is not out there, but I believe sooner or later these things are going to come back. and to experience the entire digital journey end to end. We have our experience centers both in Gurgaon and in Bangalore. Mumbai is going to be coming very soon, where customers can experience it. How can they, when they are planning their digital transformations, they can experience live over here. So with this, I want to end my presentation, and thank you very much. Any questions are welcome.
Thank you, Jatin. And we will now straight away head for the question and answer session. And I already see that there are a number of questions. This goes on to show the tremendous amount of excitement and zeal and interest that the audience has in this knowledge sharing platform and in this subject. So the first question that I have, which I would like to direct to Pranav, it comes from Sanjay Narkar. Hi, Sanjay. So his question is, how can G Suite help in enhancing the employee productivity at scale with work from home as a new normal, and also allows external business partners or customers to be benefited and get their business done?
Great. Firstly, a great question from Sanjay. Good to hear from you. It's very simple, right? I mean, G Suite was always built for scale, and the reason why we say it at scale is purely because of the fact that it inherently kind of adopts the same capability, the same infrastructure, the same security resilience that we have built even on the consumer side as well, with Gmail more than 2 billion users worldwide, right? When we talk about the enterprise ready solution, which is G Suite, because it's cloud ready, it's available. What it means is all the services, all the applications which come as part of G Suite as a SaaS offering are available to access from any device, any form factor, and from anywhere. We do not limit on the number of devices which can access, number one. Number two is the fact that because it's cloud and it's always one version, which is the most latest version, you as an IT lead, you would not have to kind of invest into updating system. All you need to run G Suite is a browser. That's all, right? So we do not kind of mandate on operating system layers to be Windows 10 ready, Windows 7 ready, or a Mac particular version. All we are saying is you just need to have a Chrome browser with a particular version. That's all you need to kind of run G Suite. So from a user, I would say efficiency and a rollout standpoint, it's the quickest to roll out. Number two, the platform was built for interoperability. So unlike other platforms, we are saying we will adopt what you have. We will adopt that if you are using Microsoft, say for example, file formats, it can coexist in that environment. It can actually kind of read files from Microsoft formats or any other formats for that matter. By the way, G Suite supports more than 100 plus for different file formats, apart from the native file formats. So all these capabilities, end of the day, enhance employee kind of productivity and collaboration. I want to go to the second question, which is around how can you seamlessly collaborate with external business partners. So with capabilities like, for example, Google Chat and Google Meet, the platform that currently we are using, Google Meet today is actually kind of seamlessly opened out to the external world as well. What it essentially means is you can invite external participants which would not be on your company domain to get onto a call like this, and we can support up to 250 participants onto a multi-party audio video conferencing. And you can seamlessly kind of get into a meeting like this. Right now, this is important because this will allow your external business partners to also move in. The second piece which is there is your external business partners can also kind of chat with your organization employees if they are also on G Suite, because today our Google Chat platform is opened up for external Google users as well. So these are some of the scenarios which will help you to kind of identify use cases in terms of how do we collaborate better within employees as well as with external business partners. Mukbil, you are on mute. You might want to unmute yourself.
Yeah. So the second question that I move on to is directed to Mr. Tom Thomas. Tom, sir, are you there? Okay. So sticking on to the broader theme that we had, another question that I would move on to now is from Mr. Mufaddal Dahodwala. The question is, how will a BPM tool integrate with SAP? I would request Jatin to take this question. We can't hear you, Jatin.
So there are various BPM tools which are there, and SAP itself provides a BPM tool. So we need to look at the need more in detail in terms of. So when we set up the entire BPM processes in place, is it a data integration at the back, or it is something which I want to integrate the application layer? So there are tools and technology which are there available where you can integrate those BPM tools. So I need to understand the question much in detail and need further more information what actually they mean to integrate their BPM with SAP systems.
Right. I think this will require a more one-to-one interaction kind of a thing. So bringing back Mr. Tom Thomas. Tom, sir, there is a question for you. How do manufacturing industries actually leverage emerging technologies to improve and boost productivity, collaboration on all the different things that we have been talking about in this discussion?
Yeah, manufacturing industries, when it comes to the core manufacturing operations, that is one thing. Whereas all the associated functions, be it marketing, be it support functions, R&D, all that largely can go to a 100% or a high percentage. I would say 70% kind of remote working. Okay. Of course, once the infrastructure is ready, then and the adequate safety and securities are there, then remote working is quite a easy task there. We have even our R&D. We thought our R&D will not be able to do anything in this situation, but our equipments were earlier itself planned for a one all-in-one desktop, and all that is taken back into their respective houses. And with the cloud capable of handling huge amount of data, we are able to do it in the good part of even R&D job outside without any hassles. Okay.
Right.
So manufacturing organizations also definitely can get into a high level of remote working. Coming to manufacturing itself, that is probably a next phase. It will evolve, I'm sure, into a high automation. It'll get into more modular, more simpler, which may use robotics or also maybe laser building or whatever it is. So it'll progressively will become more getting tuned to more modular remote working situation. But that is a little far away, but I'm sure companies are looking at that direction and working towards it.
Right. Thank you, Tom, sir. So, Shiju, Sarbani, any thoughts on this? And especially keeping in view that cloud has been a recurring theme throughout our discussion with various people talking about it. It has actually been like a refrain, and all of the various things that we spoke about. Any parting remarks from you, Shiju?
I think this is the time when we have to plan the next journey, and we may have to think through of the infrastructure or any of the solution which is much more scalable as on need. We cannot have a situations where we can think of the things will mobilize at this sort of situations. So we need to have something which is scalable, which is accessible from anytime, anywhere. So that sort of solution has to be adopted more. And digital will have to be a more adaptability in the organization. So we used to talk only for transformation. We used to only plan, but now really will have to be adopted. And BCP has to be worked upon a real time scenarios rather than on paper or just for a check marks. It has to be more on real time scenarios.
Right. Sarbani, any thoughts? Parting thoughts?
Yes, I would tend to agree with Shiju that in this entire exercise in crisis, scalability and agility they have come out to be they have assumed the maximum importance. And the moral of the story is that one should be always prepared for business continuity in its entirety. Because still, traditionally business continuity would mean uptime of the data center maybe, but not the complete workforce to be up at all times with all applications and the best practices. When I say that, all the collaboration tools, all the communication tools should be made available. If workers don't have their access to applications, data, or even shared files, or say the collaboration tools, then it is pointless. So business continuity encompass everything, not just the database being up and running or the major ERP being up and running, the entire workforce reinforced with all best practices in place. So that is the new lesson, to get, which we struggle to have the entire thing in a sense, the business continuity, agility and scalability. These were lessons learned, which most organizations which had a good infrastructure, which was scalable, could cope up very well. Others had to struggle. So this is a takeaway from this crisis for sure.
Right. Sarbani, this is a very good point, and this is something that I've been coming across in my own interactions with industry leaders, is that this is the time where BCP, the meaning of BCP,
has taken a new
meaning. Because organizations always had a department, a function dedicated to BCP. In fact, there were many people who wouldn't understand BCP. But now I think BCP has actually become a household name. And this is something which actually needs to be looked at in its entirety. Very good point made by Sarbani. And in the interest of time, we will actually have to call it a day. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It has been a wonderful, wonderful experience talking with all of you and exchanging thoughts and notes. And I really hope that the people here would have had a lot of takeaways. And I still see a lot of questions on my screen, which goes to show the enthusiasm and the zeal and the excitement and the interest that people still have in this knowledge sharing platform, as well as in the general broader theme. And of course, we all understand about it. And so thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And I would request people whose questions have not been able to take up to kindly take them up offline. And thank you all. Thank you, audience. And of course, I would like to thank our partners, Google Cloud and Team Computers, without whose support this webinar wouldn't have been possible. Thank you all. Have a great day. Stay safe. Thank you.